And I mean, Michelle, you are the queen of some college graduates over
Oh,
here.
yes, she
So I
is.
know, right? So she just kind of say, "Oh, we had some homeschool graduates. They kind of went to school and did some things." Michelle, why don't you tell people about where your homeschool graduates and some of the places that
That they've got, yeah,
yes.
graduates. One thing that I like about homeschooling too is that you're catering it to the personalities of your kids. And so we have 5 kids and they're very different personalities. And so some were, very much into, I want to always read books and do things academic and all of that. And then some were more social. And so the boys, it's flipped in a lot of people's ways, but for us, the boys were the ones that were just really focused on their academics. And so the first one, he wanted to go to MIT, and that's where he went. He went to MIT.
Nice.
And then the next one, he went to Dartmouth College, and then he just got his MBA from Northwestern, where he was student body president there too. And then the third one went to Harvard. And then the fourth one, she just got her art degree from Kennesaw State.
Nice.
And so, and that's what she wanted to do. And she was not at all interested in going to an Ivy League school. And then the fourth, the fifth, the twin. So the fifth one, she'd hate for me to call her the fifth one, but she is really the younger of the twins, but she doesn't like. Anyway, but so she's working her way through in her own terms. So she's now at Perimeter, and she's almost finished with Perimeter, and then she'll decide, she's thinking that she wants to go on to the 4-year, but that's up to her. And so what I liked was that we were able to think of them all differently. Nice. and cater to them. So as a homeschool parent, if you do have kids who really, really want to excel and go into like the Ivy League kind of thing, that's there. If you want a student who's really into art, and she's an amazing artist.
Yes, she is.
Then that's her. And if you have a student who doesn't really know clearly what she wants to do, that's okay too, right. And you're just guiding them through that whole process. And then you shift from being kind of like the teacher trainer to being more of the coach as they're moving on further in their lives. And so, I do appreciate that you really get to know your children and you get to know what their interests are. Like I would say to some people, which people do, but if I could pay the Ivy Leagues to like let my daughters in, that would be a disservice to them. They didn't want that kind of life. Right. They just didn't want that kind of life, whereas the boys did. And so, but they have their own gifts and talents. I mean, they are amazing people, and they just have different interests than that. So I think it's just nice to know that you can prepare them as parents. You can take them in whatever direction that they want to go.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about like, I think on this year's homeschool alumni, we have a homeschool alumnus who's coming back, and that she actually, her pathway is that she decided to become an EMT. She has tons of tech training and various certifications, and now she just entered the military at 29 years old. So it's like, because they're still in the process of saying, you know what, I am discovering new things about myself, I'm learning new things about myself, and actually having the grit and the ability to say, I'm gonna try a new path, but I'm not fearful. And that's something that I really enjoy about so many of our homeschooling children. They're lifelong learners, but they're not afraid to approach something new. And then they're also not afraid to slow down and say, is this what I really want to do at this particular moment? I've had the same thing with my oldest. He's a senior now in college, but he had a moment where he was like, okay, I need to slow down for a semester and figure out what I want to do. And so he went and worked at Amazon for a semester, which, once he was there, he's like, you know what? I don't think I want to be a mechanical engineer in this way, working on at this particular company or anything. It wasn't anything about the company, just like I'm looking for a different pathway. And right now he is he actually teaches coding at a local charter school and back at the homeschool co-op. So it's kind of like come back full circle. But he's discovering that I actually do have a passion for educating children in tech and STEM and AI that he that he really for a long time was like, I'm not too sure about, but he's had the space to discover it. And that is the process of homeschooling, that you can approach all things confidently if you're still a curious lifelong learner.
And we do have an excellent group of students on our panel this year. So
Yeah. Who are some of the people?
so we have, like you were saying, Tamara Austin, who is, she has her own animal business too.
Yeah.
All
So
of
if
these
you've been to
different
Flourish,
things. Yes,
if you've
these
been to
animals,
Flourish,
yes.
you've held snakes, you've petted sugar gliders, you have held birds. If you've been to any of our conference, animals are a staple of the children having interaction with.
And then we have Adriana Coffin, who went the college route at first as a musician. She's a great pianist, but found that wasn't for her. And now she's training to be a chef.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we have Jamie Grace, who graduated from college, but and if you don't know her, she is a well-known artist, performing artist, and she was a part of our local homeschool group. So she's
a Dove Award winner and
Yes.
two-time Grammy nominee.
Yes, that's correct.
Billboards and all that.
Yes. And then we have one of my sons, the one who graduated from his with his MBA recently. But the thing about him is that he's actually in the process of writing a book about his faith journey. So about walking away from the faith and then coming back, and why that happened, what happened to him while he was in college. And what's really impactful about I read what he wrote so far, is that it helps parents to kind of see what it is that a child is going through as they're going through their faith journey, from moving from home on to the world, and how they're thinking about that. And so maybe things that we can do while they're still in the home to help them to better navigate, that whole way of their life. So, so those are our panelists. And so come on out to the Flourish conference.
And I the part you were talking about, I think when you're homeschooling for so long, and this is something that we as parents, I know I'm getting comfortable with, is that I have to be okay with the decisions you make and the journeys that you choose along the way. And so we're going to have an opportunity to have, for the first time at Flourish, we're going to have some table talk sessions. And so we have 10 separate tables where there will be either a veteran mom, a veteran dad, or even a couple. Or a representative from a micro school, and they will talk with parents in small group mentorship style with this discussion to talk about some of the things that parents are dealing with individually. And I think one of the things that I found to be very amazing about this community is to have access to such veteran moms and dads and married couples who, as I'm going through my journey, because I am transitioning from being the homeschool mom to the mom of a college student to the mom of a young adult who is,
I'm not ready.
You say you're not ready? Yeah. And so it's being able to be in the space and say, I've done my due diligence with you, and I support you, but listen to them and understand that they are choosing their own directions, and that, prayerfully take your hands off and let them do the thing and everything, which is kind of hard for me, because when you have a student who is in college and they're ADHD and they're on the spectrum, you tend to want to put your hands on them more. But what it is that, and this is a wonderful thing, and one of our presenters will be Dr. Rochelle Matthew Somerville, and she is from HSLDA, and she is a autism specialist and of children, students, and other neurodiverse students services. And so one of the things with her is that she's going to be talking about is transitioning from being the hands-on parent in that way to being an absolute support structure for the young adult. You never disappear, but you are taking on a different support role in that way. And so it's going to be amazing to have her there to really present on that.
Actually, so as I was listening to you guys talking about your kids and how they're older and what they're doing, one of the things I like about homeschooling is that, they can explore their interests now. So like my oldest, she said she wanted to start a business, and she got plugged into the Urban League, I think, of Atlanta, and did a whole course. And at the end of the course, though, they have a pitch competition, and you get real money, like 3,000 for the first place, 1,500 for second, or something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but Avion, she was the youngest. And she was the only homeschooler in the group, and I was there taking her twice a week, 4 hours during the summertime. And I didn't do anything though. I said, "You're doing this. I'm hands off. I'm not touching nothing. I'm not designing anything. I am just a transportation." And on her slide, she said, when she listed her business partner, she had me as transportation. But she did her pitch and she got second place.
Wow.
Second to a 24-year-old. Like the 24-year-old was the one that got first place. And I was like, well, she came in. I was like, I'm pretty proud of that.
I know that's right.
And it just kind of it reinforced the beauty of homeschooling, that she could do something like that and not be tied down or thinking, oh, it has to be this way. So she just got her EIN, her business formation. She has her LLC. She did it. I didn't do anything. I just looked over her shoulder as she was typing in information. She's like, "Is this where I put it?" I'm like, "Yes."
Be in support.
Just being in support, like you were just mentioning. So, just seeing them transition to that. And my middle child, she is into designing, architecture. She said interior designer or interior decorator or landscape artist. I don't know, all of those things. So just putting her in a space to explore those with like NOMA, the National Organization for Minorities in Architecture, connecting her to different organizations. So just having the freedom to do that. And then my youngest, he's still trying to figure himself out. So it's interesting to hear you talk about your sons and how they're the most focused and they wanted to go to the Ivy League and all those nice colleges. My son's just chill. I'm like, oh Lord, please. But he likes to work with his hands. So I'm just kind of praying and looking and seeing him, because he's the youngest, he's 12. So seeing him flourish, and grow. So I just like being plugged into this community, because then I can get to hear other people's stories and see how other people are doing it, and then be like, okay, so this is how I can adjust, or these are some things I can expose my kids to. I'm in a different boat though as well, because I'm homeschooling and I'm teaching full time. So, that balance is really difficult, but it's still manageable because of the fact that I'm plugged into community. So that's one of the things that's a little bit different about my journey. I haven't always been teaching full time, so just put that out there. There are definitely like some ebbs and flows with it. Like there are times when I wasn't teaching at all, or I was just teaching part-time, but now I'm in a season where my kids are more independent, which is a beautiful thing. So because they're more independent, I can kind of teach and do that more. And I love doing it. So that's kind of where I am right now in the journey.
So we would love for you to join us at the Flourish Family Homeschool Conference, January the 29th through the 31st at the New Life Community Center in Church, located in Decatur, Georgia.